Hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are ready to jump in, drop the word code, and we are going to send you a guide called A Functional Health Coach's Guide to Seeking Healing Opportunities versus Medical Diagnosis. So drop the word code into the chat. We should have called today Hot Topic Tuesday because Reed will be joining me to talk about CPT codes and whether health coaches should be concerned with them or not. This is going to be a hot topic, and I'm really excited to dig in today. So welcome to the Health Coach Tip Tuesday show, where every week we share tips, tools, and resources for health coaches and professionals so that you can confidently solve your clients' health issues and grow your career as a health coach or professional. I am your co-host and FDN Director of Course Enrollment, Piper Gibson. And as many of you recognize the man next to me, this is Reed Davis, founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And he is going to share some amazing knowledge and expertise with us today. How are you, Reed?
Fantastic, thank you. Doing great. Get up every day and try to do it. Yep.
Great. Well, are you ready to dig in with our hot topic today?
I'm always ready.
All right.
What is it again?
It's CPT codes and whether health coaches should be concerned with them or not. So before we dive into CPT codes, I would love for you to expand on the fact that FDN really enables the entrepreneur and honors that entrepreneurial spirit. So can you talk a little bit about some of the amazing things that FDN offers, like the Medical Director Program?
Well, sure. And in my world, our world, FDN is based on how I practiced for 8 to 10 years in an office. It's not just about labs and, here's how to find the bugs or something like that. It's really a way of thinking, a way of running your business. It's a way of practicing. It's a methodology that not only uncovers the real problem that a person needs to work on to make improvements in their health, but how they should do that, the lifestyle modifications, everything from their diet through stress reduction, through supplementation, through lots of things. So it is a complete business in a box, if you will. And we've had people change from being a real estate agent or a mom only to being an FDN practitioner. Obviously, you have to want to help people and you have to be willing to walk the talk, but it is a complete program. And not only do we teach you some onboarding skills and sort of packaging and pricing, in the course. Once you learn what to do, you got to learn how to sell it and package it and do it as a profession. So that's all in the course. But beyond that, I think one of the most amazing things is our Association of FDN Professionals. By the way, hi, Jennifer. And so we see that it's not just taking a course, but you join a community of like-minded practitioners who all want to elevate the profession of health coaching, especially FDN health coaching, And so there's many, many, many things that Jennifer is now offering through the Association of FDN Professionals, the ongoing education, lots of benefits and support, everything from insurance through, setting up your business, through selling, through software you might use to run your practice, through, again, one of my favorites is always the clinical stuff, the case studies, the ongoing support. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things is that.
Absolutely. I want to dig in a little bit before we talk about the CPT codes. I know that's what you guys are all waiting for. If you're just joining us, drop the word code into the chat, CODE, and we are going to send you the Health Coach's Guide to Seeking Healing Opportunities versus Medical Diagnosis. So on that point, when lab testing is involved, a lot of people do have questions about practicing medicine. Can you explain what FDNs actually do and why this isn't a medical approach?
Well, it's not a medical approach at all, and we don't cross over into the physician's backyard. We give a complete monopoly to diagnosing and treating disease to doctors who are licensed to do so. They're licensed because they use agents that could be very dangerous. You can kill someone with medical care. And it happens every single day. And so, of course, you should be licensed to do that, I think, you know. We don't have a license because we don't do anything that could potentially kill someone, you know. Uh, we don't use agents like drugs that are harmful, that have side effects, that have contraindications and warnings and risks and all these sorts of things. And so we're just not even in the same backyard. It doesn't mean there isn't some integration, hopefully, because we might need a doctor someday for a client who has a true medical condition. But generally, medicine, it's times consumed with diagnosing and treating disease, and that's not the same thing as building health. They manage symptoms or they manage a condition to help a person get by, and they do it mostly with drugs or surgery. Opposed to that, FDNs and health coaches, we want to know what's really wrong. What's the healing opportunity? We don't want to just manage the symptoms and the condition. We want the condition to go away. And so it can. If a person restores health, it can. And we do it all, not with drugs or surgery, but with lifestyle, like the diet and the rest and the exercise and stress reduction and supplementation and things like that. So we don't treat anything specifically like a physician. We're not licensed to do so. We treat everything, every cell, tissue, organ, system in the body simultaneously. So they just get healthy. They just get well, and whatever that thing is might drop off. And if there is some hidden vital void, we do have doctors that can kind of oversee or back us up. But generally, that's not most people.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So here is the hot topic. We get this question a lot. And so I would really love to talk to you today about CPT codes, or current procedural terminology, and whether health coaches should be using them in their practice, or even eventually have the ability to use them in your practice. So let's dig in, Reed. Do you have any initial thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, it's an interesting proposal that procedure codes are now going to be used in doctors' offices to describe a visit for health coaching, for lifestyle coaching and these kind of things. It's not a bad thing at all. So in the medical world, you have two types of codes. You have a diagnosis code called a DX code, and the CP thing. In the business, we just call it a procedure code. So what's the diagnosis? What's the procedure? A doctor they bill for the procedure. Like in her office, Reed came in and we scraped some horns off his head, That would be the procedure. The diagnosis was Reed is the devil and has horns on his head. So you have a diagnosis which describes the cluster symptoms or symptoms and what they say is the problem. And then you have the procedure. You bill for the procedure. Like it could be a consultation. That's a procedure. And so there are new CPT codes, or just procedure codes, being proposed. They will take a lot of research, a lot of sort of poking around that administrative and regulatory bodies do. It's probably going to be 2, 3, 4 years before a single health coach procedure code is actually paid for. Now, by the way, because I was in a clinic for all those years back in the day, close to 10 years, one of the things I oversaw was insurance billing. I mean, it's just part of a business, and it's a horrible thing to have to deal with in business. Now, I'm a businessman. Generally, I like to transact. Hey, I'll do this for you, and you give this to me, or let me. And it works both ways. Like, oh, I want your service. How much is it? Okay, here's the money. Now give me the service. So it's an arm's length transaction. Basically, it's called the cash practice. That works beautifully. Like I've never seen that fail. Now, as soon as you have a third party involved, like an insurance company goes, oh, but wait, we have to approve this transaction. And, oh, by the way, it's going to take a while for us to approve it. We call that deny. And then we say, well, we think you're charging too much. It's called discount. And then they could say, we don't approve it at all. You didn't use the right diagnosis code. You didn't use the right procedure code. We don't think that that's the right procedure for that diagnosis. And there's 18 other ways that they could step all over it and just deny the whole darn thing. So we call that the 3 Ds of insurance: delay, deny, and discount. Now, then you take a poor chiropractor who comes out of school expecting that they're going to be able to make a living. I didn't say get rich. They're just going to be able to make a living by applying their craft, their trade, in arm's length transaction. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry to hear your neck hurts. Let me take a look at it. So that's a procedure is to do the examination. You have an examination procedure code. Then you have a treatment procedure code. You might have 2 or 3 different treatment procedure codes used in a visit. And then instead of Mrs. Smith paying him, saying thanks for the adjustment and the neck rub and the heat pack, and the exam or whatever the heck it is, there's CPT codes for the x-rays and all these things. So instead of saying here's the money, she goes, well, here's my insurance card. And now the doctor doesn't get his money from his customer. He's got to go to the insurance company, and they go, nope, you used the wrong code. And by the way, this is 2-3 weeks after you've done the work. You might get a kind of a report, an explanation of benefits, and you'll be it says, no, we deny that. You can only charge like $12 for that procedure, and that's the deal. Like, you're not going to get any more money. Who's going to fight the insurance company? You're going to take your check for, you did, $150 worth of work, and they say we're paying you $20, and you take your $20 and you go to the bank because you need the money. No, that's the insurance business. That's how it works being insurance. And so your question is, am I happy to see procedure codes invented or created for health coaching visits? So now that when you go get a job in a doctor's office, he can now say to you, health coach, yeah, I'm going to be having you see all my patients, and we're going to bill an insurance company with using the correct procedure codes. I will provide the diagnosis because you're not licensed to give a diagnosis. So you will not be able to bill the insurance company. You have to have a diagnosis. It's only me, the doctor, can provide the diagnosis. And then I will list among all the procedures that person had in this office, I will list the visit they had with you, and we'll see what they pay. And they're probably going to pay, I'm just guessing, it would be a wild guess to say that they're going to pay $15 or $20 for a consultation with the health coach in a doctor's office, which he's going to have to create the diagnosis for, which legitimizes and has to be matched up with what the insurance company says, that they're even going to pay for a health coach visit. They may write back and say, well, why didn't you just send that person home with their prescription? Why did they need a health coaching visit? So there's all these opportunities for this system to go completely wrong for health coaches. But is it a bad thing? It's not a bad thing, because at least the good news about this is that the establishment, the physicians and those that are in charge of what gets paid for by insurance companies and so on, at least they're looking at health coaching as a legitimate profession. In a sense, while it does legitimize the profession, it's not going to put any money in any health coach's pockets, unless you just want to work, for $15 a visit in a doctor's office. Now, again, I'm using that $15 as just a guesstimate. I know that that chiropractors now, who are licensed practitioners, can bill for an adjustment and get about $18 for an adjustment. So if you think that health coaching is going to get more, now some different insurance companies pay different amounts. And by the way, I haven't been in that office in 10 years. But I have a lot of chiropractor friends. We have a lot of chiropractors who have become FDN practitioners. Why? Because they can make $200 an hour doing it in a cash-based practice. So that's kind of the point. Health coaches, the first prerequisite is that you have to walk the talk. You have to live a healthy lifestyle. You have to get up every morning and be a happy person, and you have to be feeling like being helpful to others. And that might be walking the talk, like going outside and meditating, and then working for a while, and then going back out and doing 2 hours of outside hard labor, or go to the gym, or go to the dance lessons, or go pick your kids up at school, all the things that we get to do working at home, where we want balance in our lives. Now that means you have to make a certain amount of money. I mean, frankly, if you live anywhere near where I live, you have to make good money. You know, we don't want to be a health coach working out of a tent, you know, or your back of your car, or things like that. So I think that pretty much is some of the main points.
So just to recap, is that right now these codes are going through different levels of approval. So it could be 2, 3, 5 years before anybody sees any of these codes. And as a health coach, you're still going to have to work under a licensed professional. You're not just going to be able to use those codes, you know, in your own private little business. You're going to have to work for a licensed professional. Is that what we're seeing? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, although I'm not emphasizing the 2 to 5 years. It could be, if it was next month, it wouldn't matter much to me, you know, because again, I'm not going to ever bill it. It will never happen in my practice. And the practice model that we're teaching in FDN is to be in business for yourself, or working with a group of people, but holding your own, being your own entity. It's perfectly fine to go work in an office, although brick and mortar these days is becoming really hard and expensive to do. Most of us already work from home. Again, it's the lifestyle we enjoy, and we can do just as much good in the world. Just as much good in the world. Matter of fact, more, because I can work with anyone in any state or country. You know, I can reach all over the world. I don't need an office to suck up the money I make with overhead and stuff. So anyway, I think you got it right.
So I don't know about you guys, everybody that's watching, but me personally, I would rather make $200 an hour and work for myself. If you would rather make $200 and work for yourself, drop the word yes into the chat. Let us know. We would love to know what your goals are as a health coach or an aspiring health coach. So I'd love to talk a little bit about the fact that lots of licensed practitioners, such as chiropractors, are actually transitioning from this insurance-based model to more of a cash-based practice because, as we know, those health reimbursements really are not quite adequate. But I would love for you to expand on how FDN can be really beneficial for those medical practitioners looking to transition to more of a cash-based practice.
Well, interestingly enough, more and more physicians are following our lead, and you know, they're still bound by their licensure in their state. So if they're going to operate as that kind of physician, whatever it might be in their state, they're going to have to follow the same rules they've always followed. But as an FDN health coach, they can work with any client or patient in any state, and without having that person have to fly to their office first. Now I happen to work with a DO, and he's in Connecticut, and I'm in California. Well, I had to fly, get a hotel room, spend a few hours in his office, and fly back the next day, you know. And so I didn't mind, because I really wanted to see this guy, and he's a great doctor. But he's limited to working with people who are willing to do that. Mm-hmm. And again, a lot of people are, and he's doing fine. But what if he wanted to expand and branch out and start working with people all over the country who don't or can't afford or don't want to fly to his place in Connecticut and get a hotel room and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I mean, so that's what FDN allows you to do, because we have a medical director program, which means you can use the doctors that we have authorizing labs in any state. And so that's an advantage. Like, in other words, you're a physician and you want to, your patient, Mrs. Smith, has a cousin in 3 states over. And God, I really wish you could work. And well, tell her to fly, and there's a hotel down the street, and then I'll see her. And no, all you do is become an FDN practitioner and order your labs through us, and you can look at those that lab work, and you can advise that person through Skype or Zoom or I just was on a new one. Someone just interviewed me from a new platform. I liked it. Anyway, there's a ton of technology that you can use. And now you won't be their physician if you do that. You'll be their health coach.
Mm-hmm.
So your license isn't even on the line. That's how telemedicine is supposed to work. And I developed it just 12 years ago. And we've been using it ever since. But finally now with a lot of the way the world works, people are catching on. But like 3,000 health coaches have been doing it for a decade.
Well, and FDN really allows you to be globally free. We've got lab partnerships with Australia and different lab partnerships in the UK. And so it really makes that lab testing available for FDN practitioners. And it really opens up those borders and those boundaries for you to work with all sorts of people all over the place, whether you are a medical professional coming to FDN to become a health coach, or whether you are a mom or a real estate agent looking for that career change or to help yourself or to help your family. Well, Reed.
What's the question? Yeah. Was that a question?
It's the usual question. The usual question is, do you have one tip or tool, a piece of information that you want everybody to walk away with today in regards to CPT codes or FDN? What would you like to share with everybody today?
Well, I've said this one, we do a show every Tuesday, and you can't always ask for my top tip, because how many top tips can you have?
Well, you might have a top tip.
So well, it's to walk your talk and become a professional. It's time that we jump out of the ranks of a hobbyist. No, hobbyists are great. I know a lot of hobbyists, and they're really great at hobbies. Matter of fact, I have hobbies. I have motorcycle riding and I have my garden. But hobbies cost you money. My motorcycle needs babying, and babysitting, and needs toys and things like that I have to buy it, and things that soup it up and stuff like that, and it needs to be ridden. And, my garden, I've spent money on, I've planted over 2,000 plants. So hobbies cost you money, is the point. Professions make you money. And if you're a hobbyist, if you're really into health and you study and all the internet stuff, you may even have taken some courses. And that's all fantastic. And hopefully you're walking the talk. That's number one. And if you're only doing that, then you probably have got your money's worth. But when you take the FDN course, you learn how to turn it into a profession. Now, you don't need any prerequisites, because we're going to teach you all the anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, all the labs, all the protocols, how to treat every cell, tissue, organ, and system simultaneously at once, how to be a really good, effective, professional health coach. And we're going to actually get you set up and help you get set up in business to do that and make it really good living. And you won't have to take a stinking $15 CPT code reimbursed, whatever you want to call it.
That's right. Who wants to deal with that struggle? It just does not sound fun to me. It does not sound enjoyable.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, good.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are just watching the replay, make sure to drop the word code into the chat, and we are going to send you our guide for seeking health opportunities or healing opportunities versus medical diagnosis. And if you are an aspiring health coach, if you are ready to dive into the FDN program, definitely let us know in the chat. Just drop FDN into the chat, and I will get in contact with you, and we can definitely get you set up and ready to roll so that you can learn how to be a successful, functional health coach. Thank you, Reed, for joining me once again. It was a great conversation. Oh, wait, what do you have to say?
Well, I wanted to say, you mentioned something about if you're listening to recording. Depending on when you're listening to it, things may have changed. We're looking for development in the area of insurance reimbursement for health coaches. We're looking for, we're always on the lookout for regulatory changes. And so depending on when we're listening to this recording, things might have changed. That's all. So don't come down on me too hard if I was, overly aggressive. I just have my opinions. I express them based on what I know. But as I get more information, I can change, you know, and develop and grow. I give you room to grow. You give me room to grow, and it's all good.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great disclaimer. You're correct, because someone might be watching the replay several months from now, and we may have a different view or opinion or on what is going on in the world at that time. So fabulous disclaimer. So
Okay.
thank you, Reed. Thank you for joining me. Next week, I am going to be here with AFDNP Director Jennifer Woodward, and we are actually going to be doing some case studies. We're going to do a 6-part series. We're going to look at some case studies so that you can see how FDN health coaches are really digging in and working with their clients. So join us next week, same time, same place. Thank you once again, Reed. It was a great conversation.
And you too. Keep up the great work, Piper.
I will. Thank you, Reed.